Everybody, remember me? You may remember me from this YouTube channel where I did videos. It's been so long that YouTube just asked me if I wanted to still be Basilray, if I wanted to select a better name. Screwed the pooch, kept it Basilray. It's been like 2 months since a legit video has been posted, and it's time that we fix that. So today, we're going to take a look at something I picked up recently, which is a new Genesis Atomizer, and I picked this up because it was affordable, available, and a bit unique. So this is the Pulse G from Relentless Minds. Came in this fancy little box, and this is just a bit different than your run-of-the-mill Genesis Atomizer. So let's not dink around too much. Let's get down to the tried and true green towel on top of the desk and take a look. Here we go. So here is the Pulse G Atomizer from Relentless Minds, nice and up close. So it has a copper pin in the base, and the base does sit fairly flat. It's important to some people who are trying to get more of that hybrid look. It's got a couple of grooves here, which kind of have not terribly smooth edges. You're not going to slice yourself on them, but they just feel a little bit rough. There is an air hole on each side, and it's got a drip tip. I haven't attempted to pop it out. I assume it comes out. What makes this unique is once we start getting under the hood, so to speak. So typical cap, but what you're already noticing is this large metal horseshoe-shaped contraption here. And this is the chamber reducing feature of the Pulse G. So as we kind of spin this around to take a look, you can see on a little bit of buildup of condensation there. This idea is kind of become pretty popular with Genesis stuff. So the idea is that we're limiting the air space in the chamber, which kind of by default then really only has one place for the air to go, and that's going to be across the coil. It sounds like that would give you better vapor production. That hasn't really been my experience with the couple that I've tried, but it does produce pretty outstanding flavor. This piece, it's worth mentioning, is completely removable. So if I pop out this screw, these screws are quite long because they go all the way through this reducer piece into the top plate of the deck to hold it on. You can take this out if you prefer more of a dual coil setup, or you find that this reduced chamber just isn't for you. You'll have a couple of spots where you could add a screw to run dual coils. Those are also the same spots that the reducer chamber screws go into. And then you have another wick hole or a fill hole if you're using the reduced chamber. So that's one thing that I find, is that it's quite easy to just take a syringe right in here through the, all the way through this reducer chamber, right down the center there, and you're able to fill it up. Building this, I find that it is incredibly difficult to do if you have that reducer chamber on. So this is kind of a pain if you like to rebuild a lot, because you're going to find yourself needing to take that reducer chamber off when you think about it, right? So let me line this back up here. If this is here, it doesn't give you a lot of room to work and wrap that coil. So it becomes really difficult to get a good solid connection there on that center post. However, typically with the Genesis Atomizer, if you're of that mindset, you're willing to probably fiddle, especially if this is a device that you're starting to think might be in your wheelhouse. It doesn't take a long time to pop these screws in and out, but it does take just long enough that I find it to be quite annoying. So this is just a cheapo eyeglass screwdriver. These screws are quite small. When I first got them, one thing that's worth noticing is that these screws were torqued in quite tight, so I did have to get an actual screwdriver to get them out. The other thing that I wanted to mention, so when I got this, I did rinse it out, and I didn't have it sealed up nice and tight here at the base, and it did leak out quite a bit from this bottom O-ring. So if you are completely disassembling this to clean or reassemble, or just get juice out of your tank, you will want to be very careful. Glass tank, I believe it is a fused quartz, but I'm not 100% positive. it's possible it's more of a borosilicate. So you do have air intakes on each side of the cap. I find the draw to be really pretty nice. I am not entirely positive as to what the size of these air holes are at. It may say on the 310 website. It does not. However, like any Genesis atomizer, you could bore them out if you find the draw to be too stiff. All you need is something like a bead reamer if you're not a tool guy. So this is just a bead reamer, and you could slide it in, expand it out, or you could just use a drill. If you don't have a drill, you could use probably a Dremel with a drill bit. So there you have it. There's kind of a quick under the look, everything but a build. But to be honest, it's a Genesis atomizer at this point. There are a million build videos. I have a couple of my own that are out there that you could apply based on using the Lava Gen. So there you have it. We will set this back up, take a couple of vapes, we'll talk about value, and we'll send you on your way. So the Pulse G retails for $140 when it's in stock. I picked mine up from 310 Vapors. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else. It comes in a nifty little presentation box that comes with a couple of extra screws, and if I recall, there weren't any extra O-rings, but you get a couple of extra screws. These are smaller screws for using if you decide to opt out of using that reducer chamber piece. Performance-wise, it is a Genesis atomizer. There don't seem to be any significant bottlenecks. It works quite well. I have it set up right now here on the Mamu Max at 17.5 watts, 1.1 ohm coil is what I've wrapped here, using 28 gauge Canthal. You can see it's vaping very, very well. This is some old 7030 Backwoods Brew RY4. No jokes, I know. Backwoods Brew's RY4 has been out of stock forever. I've been saving some for a rainy day. It's raining outside. What are you going to do? The one thing that I do find about this, flavor does seem to pop a little bit more from a reduced chamber Genesis than it does from your standard run-of-the-mill Genesis atomizer. So the flavor profile on this compared to something like the RSST, the AGA T2, various average everyday Genesis atomizers does seem to be a little bit better. At times, it feels like you're sacrificing vapor, especially when you are using just a straight mechanical mod. So here I have another reduced chamber Genesis atomizer. This is the AGA T2 with the Fog Addy cap on the Nemesis. The same results from the Pulse G. I feel like the vapor is a little bit wimpier when you're going unregulated with these reduced chambers. When you go regulated, it just seems to be a little bit more plentiful. Of course, that's going to be a factor of liquid, wicking, your coil, all those things. So take that with a block of salt. So you can see really no complaints there. Real nice flavor profile coming off of this setup. For $140, it is a little bit on the higher end. However, it's less expensive and theoretically more obtainable than some of the other ones. This happened to come up in stock. I got an email notice, boom, picked it up, had it for about 2 weeks, and I've been enjoying it. I've been using it quite a bit. After that initial kind of cleaning it just to make sure there were no machine oils or metal shavings on it and putting it back together, I did again have a pretty significant leak all over the front of my Mamu Max. I just about cried and had heart failure when I woke up the next morning. Once I cleaned it, dried the O-rings, reassembled it, it has held just fine. Haven't had any complaints. So it isn't a faulty O-ring. For this, again, $140, it's not out of the range of possibility for a lot of vapors. There are some who still just refuse to pay that kind of markup or premium for a product of this nature. So be it, this was never going to be for you. But if $140 seems pretty reasonable, I would keep your eye out for this one. Again, I picked it up from 310 Vapors, not sure of any other carriers. Like it quite a bit. This is going to be one of those Genesis atomizers that I kind of just keep on hand and use continually. So I kind of have 3 Genesis atomizers, and those are the go-tos. I've got a good old tried and true RSST, an AGA T2, and this. This is clearly the nicest of the 3, just in terms of machining, build quality, all those things. Would like to see either a smooth cap here or just a little bit nicer finish on these decorative grooves around the top and bottom of the cap, because they just kind of feel not smooth, right? They kind of catch a little bit on your skin when you're touching the Atomizer. So other than that, real stellar performance. If you are looking for a reasonably priced reduced Genesis Atomizer, this might be up your alley. Check it out. That's what I've got. That's the video. I'm going to work on putting some more things out, including a whole new series of juice reviews that are going to be very quick, very short, because there's no sense in spending lots of time. We're talking 60 seconds or less. So keep an eye out for those. We're going to get back into regular videos. I'm probably going to sit down after this and rebuild my Kaifun 3.1, and I'll show you how I like to do that. We'll go from there. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned. Sub up. We'll see you around Vapor World.